Hi everybody, my name is Caitlin McGuire and I am an English learner teacher at Dr. Charles R. Drew Elementary School. Today we are going to be working on some phonemic awareness activities together. For these activities, all you will need are your hands to do the motions, your ears, and your voice. All right, let's get started. So our first activity is going to be adding phonemes or adding sounds to words. I'll do the first one so you know what to do, and then you can try the rest with me. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So for example, if I said the word sock, and you would repeat sock, and I said add t after s, and the word is stock, okay? All right, let's try some more. Sight, add ul after s, and the word is slight. Nice job. Cider, add p after s, and the word is spider. Excellent. Soar, add t after s, and the word is store. You got it. Book, add after b, and the word is brook. Nice job. Seed, add p after s, and the word is speed. Nice work. Tuck, add after t, and the word is truck. You got it. Go, add ul after g, and the word is glow. Nice work. Okay, our next activity is going to be deleting phonemes or taking sounds out of words. I'll do the first one so you know what to do, and then you are welcome to try the rest with me. All right, here we go. So for example, if I said the word spoon, and you would repeat spoon, without the p, what's left is soon. All right, let's do some more. Sweet, without the w, what's left is seat. Excellent. Stand, without the t, what's left is sand. You got it. Straight, without the what's left is state. Nice job. Spoon, without the p, what's left is soon. Excellent. Plot, without the ul, what's left is pot. Nice job. Smell, without the what's left is sell. Nice job. Flew, without the ul, what's left is few. Excellent. That was tricky. Pray, without the what's left is pay. You got it. Nice work. Okay, our last activity, we are going to be substituting or changing sounds in our words. I'll do the first one, and then you can try the rest with me. All right, here we go. So for example, if I said the word is spill, and you would repeat spill, change p to s, change p to t, and the word is still. All right, let's try some more. Smart, change to t, and the word is start. Nice job. Stick, good. Change t to ul, and the word is slick. You got it. Cloud, change ul to and the word is crowd. You got it. Broom, change to ul, and the word is bloom. Excellent. Snail, change to k, and the word is scale. You got it. Glue, change the ul to and the word is grew. Nice work. Croak, change the to ul, and the word is cloak. You got it. Score, change the k to st, and the word is store. Excellent. Smell, change the to p, and the word is spell. Very good. Blue, change the ul to and the word is brew. You did it. Nice work today. All right, that is our phonemic awareness activities. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you next time.
Hey readers, it's Megan again, here to teach you a little more about phonics, the magic of phonics, right? Sort of like this magic. Let's see if it works. I'm going to make this very stiff, secure pen, bendable. Are you ready? Watch it bend. Can you see it bending? Is it working? It's really just an optical illusion. It is not magic, it's just a little trick. All right, so for today's phonics trick, to help you read and figure out tricky words. You, in the past, learned the trick of labeling the vowels in a word and then the consonants, and knowing you could break between the two consonants if you see two consonants in the middle of two vowels, and that this vowel would be the short vowel sound. You also learned this trick of breaking it if you label it and it's only a vowel, one consonant and a vowel, breaking it after this first vowel, and that vowel is usually the long vowel sound. All right, so today I wanted to teach you about vowel teams. Those are two vowels that work together to make one sound, like the EE in C, okay, or the AI in rain. All right, so I wanted to go over two that are a little bit trickier since you are older, more advanced readers. And those are these two vowel teams that make the same sound. Whoops. AU and AW, even though W isn't a vowel, this is still considered a vowel team. Little secret. So they both make the ah sound, okay? Just like in August, and in the word saw. Okay? So when you are reading a word with more than one syllable that has that vowel, one of these vowel teams in it, or any vowel team, you've got to be careful not to break the vowel team. That is today's tip. Don't break a vowel team. You never break a word between the vowels in a vowel team. All right, let me show you what I mean. So in this word, you might be like, hey, I know about finding the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and finding the consonants, and that helps me know where to break it. So let's try that. First vowel, yep. A, second vowel, A-E-I-O. Yep, the U. And the final vowel here. So there's one consonant. Oh, V-V-C-V. We didn't study that. I wonder, maybe, could I try it between the vowels? Could I break it between the vowels? Oh no, that's a vowel team. Those two vowels are working together. I can't break them up. They're a team. All right, so let's try here. Maybe it's kind of like VCV. Where I break it after the first vowel. When I guess let's consider this actually break it after the vowel that comes before the consonant. Oh, tricky. Let's see. So let's try it here. And I know this says ah, like August. So this part is ah, fa, faucet. Faucet. A faucet is the part from the sink that the water comes out. That's a faucet. All right, so we did not break the vowel team. Yes, we were successful. Let's try one more. Here's a word. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Okay, let's see. Let's start labeling it. First vowel. What is it? Yep. Next vowel? What is that you say? Not till here? Oh my gosh. You're right. But wait. That means we have vowel, consonant, consonant, consonant? Oh my gosh, we didn't talk about that. Consonant, consonant, consonant? Weird. So maybe I could break it like I can't break it after this A because it's not a vowel, consonant, vowel. Maybe I could break it here. Let me try that and just see what happens with the vowel team. Oh, because there is a vowel team. Even though that second letter isn't a vowel. It's so crazy. Let's see. Yeah, here's the vowel team. We can't break it here for sure. Let's try it here. Okay. Now let's read it. Da, da, dull. Dawdle. If you dawdle, that means you take your time with something. You're going really slowly. Dawdle. All right, so I don't have time to go over all the vowel teams. I wish I did. There's so many. But maybe you can start to study some vowel teams yourself and find them in different words and practice breaking those words so that you can see that a vowel team can never be broken up. All right, readers, happy reading.
Hello, friends, and welcome to At Home with APS. My name is Sharon Stutzman, and we are at the breaking news desk of Writer's Workshop. We are really excited today to present to you some new thinking about author's purpose. Before we go on, I just want to show you around the studio. Notice behind me, there's a book about a beekeeper, a honeybee, and there's some key vocabulary words. We're going to keep this in mind as we move forward today. It's really important to know your audience. You don't want to get stung. After all, when you understand who you're writing for and the purpose, you know what kind of writing to do. You may remember from earlier grades that author's purpose, or PI, means to persuade, inform, or entertain. But there's a lot more to it. Why should you know your audience? You know your audience because who you are writing to and for makes a big difference in the type of writing that fits that purpose. So you may write a letter or an information essay or book or a story. So you should always ask yourself why you were writing. Are you trying to inform someone or teach them, persuade them, or entertain them? But what does that look like? If you know your audience, for example, if you're trying to inform your teacher that you know what you read in the lesson or you heard in the lesson, then you're going to write in a certain way. If you're trying to persuade someone to do something, you may write them an email or a letter. Or maybe you're trying to entertain them with your really best story. So what type of writing best fits your purpose? Letter, information essay or book, and story. And of course, we reread our work. So first we're going to start with inform. In the example today, there's a student who is writing for a teacher. And what does the teacher want to know? They want to know if the student knows the material. The student is actually going to be informing or teaching her teacher. So we're going to have a look at a book called The Beekeeper. Now we're going to go back to the beginning. Notice that I highlighted a lot of sections in this book. Here we are at the beginning, just like at the news desk. Notice that the beekeeper is holding some frames, and this is a real photograph. This tells us that this is probably a nonfiction text. Could be something else, but let's see. There's another photograph, a table of contents, and in it, it says there's a glossary on page 22. These are all features that tell us that this is a nonfiction text. Well, in this case, it's an interviewer and a person who's being interviewed, and it's about a beekeeper. The beekeeper is telling about the work that's involved in taking care of hives and how he has to lift them in and out of his truck, how heavy they are and difficult it is to extract honey. that he uses a bellows, that's that little can with the smoke coming out of it, to make the bees kind of calm down. Here he is doing another picture, and notice he has no gloves. He doesn't like gloves because he says it bothers him that they're bulky and they also spread disease. Now we're going to move on to the life of the hive. Notice that I made some highlighted notes as I was reading this text the first time. If you noticed on our desk, the breaking news desk, there were some key vocabulary words. Teachers often do that when they're trying to get us focused for a writing assignment. They'll give us clues as to what pieces they want included in the writing. In this case, they wanted to see the words queen, worker, drone, and nectar. So I picked this particular section because when I was skimming it, I noticed that there were a couple of those words here. So let's read and find out. There are queens, drones, and workers. The queens and workers are female, and the drones are male. All the bees in the hive come from eggs laid by the queen. In the springtime, she lays 1,500 to 2,000 eggs a day. Drones are only useful for mating. Now she goes on to talk about when a hive divides, there are often two queens and how they move. This tells about some of the things that are made from beeswax. Bees make beeswax from glands on their bellies. They scrape thin sheets of wax off their bellies with their legs. Then they form the wax into those six-sided cells of the honeycomb. The beeswax is used for candles, moisturizer, decorations, and even the seal under your toilet. How long do bees live? Queens can live 2 to 3 years. In the summertime, drones and workers live for only 4 to 6 weeks because their wings wear out. But they do. How many bees live in a hive? In the summertime, there can be 60 to 80,000. This section talks about types of bees. This one talks about the difference between honeybees and killer bees. This one talks about stingers. And the last section talks about making honey. Notice that this one had something to do with pollen and nectar. And since it's one of the key words, I took the time to highlight it. That's going to help me in my writing later. Do bees use pollen to make honey? No, they make honey from nectar, the liquid they collect from flowers. The bee goes to the flower and eats the nectar, putting it into her honey stomach. She flies back to the beehive, spits the nectar out, and the other bees store it in the comb. Then bees fan their wings to evaporate water from the nectar and make it thicker. This section talks about the details of how that's actually done, and it gives us a diagram. Notice too that they're pointing to words to describe the picture. They also have bold words, so I know for sure this is a nonfiction text. The book goes on to talk about different kinds of honey and talks about honey you get from one beehive, and it talks about other portions of being a beekeeper, ending with a glossary. Now you can read this book yourself if you go to Raz Plus and you look for the book called The Beekeeper. But let's go back to our presentation. Now, if you're really looking for more information about bees and beekeeping than the mentor text provides, what do you do? Well, we can go back to the research desk and check out other sources. Science News offers several options. They have an article called Why Bees Are Vanishing. Tween Tribune by Smithsonian has one called What Can We Do to Save the Bees? And Newsella has one that's very interesting called Robotic Bees Could Be the Solution to the World's Bee Problem. These would all give us details for the work that's ahead of us. But now back to our lesson, let's see what we need to do next. In this case, there's a student who was given a project. She was asked, how do bees make honey? And to please use the keywords queen, drone, worker, and nectar. We saw those words at the beginning of our lesson on the research desk. Whenever you see things written down on a board or in other places, they're usually important. So in the first example, let's read to see how the student tries to inform her teacher about how honey is made. So notice in the blue, this is what the student turned in. Bees make honey using pollen. There are workers, drones, and a queen in the hive. Remember, you can always go back to the mentor text to see what information was highlighted or use your notes. We know that bees do not make honey using pollen, they do it using nectar. And there are workers, drones, and a queen in the hive. So the first thing we've helped her with is we helped her to fix one area that she could have figured out had she looked in the mentor text. So you see, the teacher wants the student to inform her that they have the knowledge from the beekeeper book. So I don't know that the student has done it, so let's see if we can help. In our last lesson, we learned about adding details, and that's really what we're looking for here. So I underlined some of the things that we're helping the student with. Bees make honey using nectar, we learned. It's the liquid they collect from flowers and put in their honey stomachs. There are workers, drones, and a queen in the hive. The student is correct, but what did the student inform the teacher that she knew about this? Not a lot. So details helps to show what you know. The queens and the workers are female and the drones are male. The queen lays up to 2,000 eggs per day. Queens can live from 2 to 3 years. Drones and workers only live 4 to 6 weeks because their wings wear out. Remember? Can you imagine flying around all day? So be careful. If you're informing, you ask yourself, who are you writing for? Did you write to teach and inform? And did you use those details? They're very important. The next thing we're going to talk about is persuade. When you persuade, you ask, who is the student writing to? Well, maybe it's a family member, or more formally, an email or magazine editor. What does the student want to do? Well, we want to change someone's mind or move a person in their frame of thinking. The student is persuading. That's my backyard, and that's our beehive. So this is an image of a day that we spent with some fellow beekeepers who came to help us with an issue we had in our beehive. In this beehive, it's called Top Bar. We chose it because it's not heavy and it's not cumbersome to use. These are two very young beekeepers, as you can tell, and they're here to look at inside of each of the frames. So in the next example, we have to have a beehive or not. So in this case, there is a young man, his name is Aaron, and he's writing to his grandparents. He's decided to write a letter. It doesn't always have to be a letter to a family member. It might be a letter to a magazine or a store. There are many reasons why we write to persuade. This is his original letter. Dear Granny and Papa, I saw the coolest family on At Home with APS Writing Workshop. They had their own beehive in the backyard. I really want one too. Do you think you can help me to convince Mom? Love you, Aaron. Did you notice that he didn't have a lot of reasons? He just said he saw a cool family, but he didn't say why. If you're trying to persuade someone, one way you can do it is to make a list of all of the reasons why your idea is positive and another why the idea is negative. So how do you do this? You make a list under the things you took notes on while reading or watching the interview or maybe watching the beekeeper's family like mine, and then you can use them as details in your letters. So for example, Positive things about beekeeping are making honey. You can use the wax for a toilet seal or candles. Honey's healthy and it tastes good. The negative things are you can get stung. You have to take care of it. They can weigh a lot, and there are thousands of bees in your yard. So, if we're going to change the original letter and add details to make it more positive, let's see how it can sound. Dear Granny and Papa, I saw the coolest beekeeper on At Home with APS Writing Workshop. She had her own beehive in the backyard. Beekeeping is fun and can be really helpful. Bees make honey, which is healthy and tastes good. Bees even make wax used for toilet seals and candles. I really want one too. Do you think you can help me to convince Mom to buy a hive? Love you, Aaron. Now, if Aaron didn't want one, he could make it sound more negative. He could look at the negative things about having a beehive, and it might sound like this. Dear Granny and Papa, I saw a beekeeper on At Home with APS Writing Workshop. He had on a beekeeper's outfit that looks huge and hot. He kept a hive in his backyard. Beekeeping sounds like hard work. The boxes weigh a lot. Bees sting, and you have to really take care of them. Plus, there are thousands of bees in the backyard. I really do not want one. Do you think you can help me to convince Mom to change her mind and buy a puppy instead? Now, not only is this negative, I also saw a spelling mistake. Did you? Now, be careful. An easy tip is to always make a list. Write down all the positives and the negatives. Use them as evidence in writing something persuasive. Now for the last part, entertain. When you're trying to write to entertain someone, who are you writing it to? Well, it could be anyone. Could be your teacher, could be a family member, could be a friend. It actually could even be for yourself. What does the student want to do? Well, you want to make someone smile or even have a different emotion, like scare them. The student is entertaining. In the example that follows, we wrote one called Samson, the Neighborhood Bee. Once upon a time, there was a little honeybee who lived in a top bar hive in Arlington, Virginia. The bee ate lots of nectar from the gardens nearby and grew very large. The honeybee was so helpful pollinating all of the flowers that he became the mascot of the neighborhood and was named Samson. The Simpkin kids came by to visit Samson every single day. Now, if you were doing this, how would you write this? How would you write an entertaining story? Well, you'd have to brainstorm and write a list of ideas to include in your story, and then you have to ask yourself, does it entertain? In our case, our list said friendly bee. In our neighborhood, we wanted to include our friends and an oversized bee. The last strategy is probably as important as any other. Reread. You don't want to get stung at the last minute. Remember when we started to talk about how to persuade? And Aaron was writing his grandparents, and he needed some details to make his point. So even though he saw the cool beekeeper on At Home with APS, he didn't give any details. So this time, when he finished his letter, it contained parts about the honey and the wax, and he was actually trying to make a point with his grandparents to get some help. In this example, it was negative. And in this one, he didn't want to have the hive in the backyard, and he added a little bit. We also made the correction of the word that was spelled wrong. I saw a beekeeper on At Home with APS Writing Workshop. He had on a beekeeper's outfit that looks huge and hot. He kept a hive in his backyard. Beekeeping sounds like hard work. The boxes weigh a lot. Bees sting. You have to really take care of them, and there are thousands of bees in the backyard. Where am I supposed to play? I really do not want one. Do you think you can help me convince Mom to change her mind and not buy a hive? So we didn't say anything about the puppy in this one. We changed it to the yard and play. We made it more purposeful in the end. The next section was to inform. Remember, in this case, the student was writing for the teacher. And in this case, we need lots of details because we're trying to inform or show our teacher that we've actually done the work. So we added lots of details and also corrected nectar. Remember, nectar is the liquid that they collect, not pollen. The last story was to entertain, and it started with Once Upon a Time. That's kind of a clue. We know that Once Upon a Time is usually a clue for fairy tales, so this is a tale, and we really wanted you to enjoy it. Well, we're back at the desk. Breaking news said, yep, all students were published. We are so excited for them. Yay! Now let's review the strategies. Know your audience. Who are you writing to and for? What type of writing best fits your purpose? Letter, information book, story. Ask yourself why you are writing. To inform, teach, to persuade or entertain, and always reread your work. Now it's your turn to buzz. You can find The Beekeeper, Level O in Raz Plus. Reread the book and decide if you are writing to persuade, inform, or entertain. Then share your work with your teacher. If you want to know more about beekeeping, think about the resources we learned at the Breaking News Desk or contact your school librarian. Buzz away to your favorite writing corner and begin working on your project. And remember, know your audience. My name is Sharon Stutzman, and I'm a reading specialist at the Montessori Public School of Arlington, and our family wishes you a sweet day.
Hi mathematicians, I'm Miss Pierce. I teach 5th grade at Charles R. Drew Elementary, and I'm so excited to be here with you today for this math workshop session. The first thing we're going to start with, as always, is number sense, where we're going to do an activity called What Do You Notice? What Do You Wonder? And then we're going to work on some decimal word problems with estimation as a focus, and then you'll have a reflection and a family tip. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, today's number sense routine is called What Do You Notice and What Do You Wonder? The purpose of this activity is exactly that, to share what you notice and what you wonder about the 4 values that are on this grid. One of the first things that I notice about these values in the grid are that these 2 values, here and here, are both greater than 1 because they show more than 1/100ths grid. This value in the top left is 1 7/10, which is greater than 1. And this value in the bottom right is 1 7/100ths, which is also greater than 1. The other 2 values, here and here, are both less than 1. The value of the grid on the top right is 7/10 or 70/100ths, and that is less than 1. And the value on the bottom left is 17/100ths, which is also less than 1. Something I'm wondering is how I can take these values that are less than 1 and make them equal to 1. So what I'm really wondering is the value of the parts that are white and how I could add them to the parts that are already shaded to be equivalent to 1. Lastly, I also notice that the same numbers are used frequently, 1 and 7 and 0. In all of these values. And I'm wondering if this was done on purpose to show how moving a decimal point changes the value of the amount. Think to yourself, what else do you notice? What else do you wonder? We're going to start today's activity off with a very simple adding decimals problem. And the reason we're going to start with small values is that so we can look at estimation and how that helps us to determine if our answer is reasonable or not. or not. Because as we move into problems that have higher values and bigger numbers, we want to be able to determine if we have a reasonable answer, if it makes sense or not, and that can help us to solve our problem more accurately. So where I'm going to start in this problem is 2 and 59/100ths, and I'm going to estimate that to be about 2 and a half, or 2 and 5/10. And 10 and 3/10 I'm going to estimate to about 10. So my answer when I actually solve this problem and find the sum should be about 12 and a half. So if it's not around there, I know I must have done something wrong somewhere in my problem. So up here in the corner, I just wrote an E for estimate, and we estimated our sum to be about 12 and a half. So when I actually line up my decimals to add them, I'm thinking I should get something around this sum. Now remember, I'm adding, so I lined up my decimal points, and I also put the larger value on top. And because I have this empty place value spot right here, I'm going to add a 0, just so I remember that there's a place there. Now I'm just going to add like I typically would. So 0 plus 9 is 9, 3 plus 5 is 8. And I actually should have brung these decimal points down earlier, but I'm just going to bring them down to right where they were in the problems above. And then 0 plus 2 is 2, and bring down the 1. So my answer is 12 and 89/100ths, which is very close to my estimate of 12 and a half. So I can tell that I have a reasonable answer and that it makes sense. Now we're going to take the skill of estimation that we just practiced in the previous slide, and we're going to apply it to this word problem. The problem says, James and Israel both order an ice cream from the ice cream truck. One ice cream was $3.50, and the other was $4.25. The boys paid with a $10 bill. How much change should they receive? The first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to estimate the total of their ice creams together. So one was $3.50, so I would round that to $4. And the other was $4.25, which would also round to $4. So the total of their ice creams should be around $8. The problem then says that the boys paid with a $10 bill. So I'm going to take that $10 bill and subtract $8 from it, which was the total of my ice creams. And that's going to be $2. So this is our estimate. When we actually complete this problem and subtract correctly, we should get around $2. If we don't, we know that that may not be a reasonable answer and that we may have done something wrong in the problem. So I'm just going to put a little E up here at the top, and our estimate is about $2. So as I can see, and as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, this is going to be a multi-step problem. I can't find the answer to this problem by just using one operation. I'm going to have to use more than one. Since I know the cost of each of the ice creams, $3.50 and $4.25, I'm first going to add them together so I know how much their total bill was at the ice cream truck. I like to set up my problem with the larger value on top and the smaller value on the bottom. This really does not matter with addition. You'll get the same answer, but I like to get in that habit because when you are using subtraction, it definitely matters. So I'm going to set up my problem just like I did earlier. I'm going to line up my decimal points because I'm adding the decimals. And then I'm going to add just like I normally would. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. I should have brought this decimal down a little bit earlier. Here it is. And then my whole numbers, 4 plus 3 is 7. So the total of the two ice creams is $7.75. This is our total, and we do know that this is a reasonable answer. If you remember when we estimated, we got $8 when we combined the two costs of the ice creams. So right now, our answer definitely makes sense, and hopefully it will continue to as we go to the second step of this problem. So because this is a two-step problem, we need to remember this is not our answer. $7.75 is not how much change they should get back. It's how much their ice cream cost. So we have a second step that we need to do here, and we're going to use subtraction for that. Since the boys paid with a $10 bill, that's what we're going to start with on top because it is the larger value, and the cost of their ice cream was only $7.75, so they should be receiving change. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to bring that decimal point down and keep it in the same spot. And now we're going to think about subtracting. This is definitely going to require some regrouping because we have a couple of zeros at the top. So I'm just going to start regrouping and subtracting as I normally would. I can't take 5 away from 0. And next door, there's nothing that I can regroup from. So I'm going to go next door to that in the next place value. There's still nothing there that I can use to help me regroup. So I'm going to go next door to this in this place value, which is the tens, and I can finally regroup from there. So I'm going to cross out that 1, make it a 0, and I'm going to regroup to the ones place. Now I have 10 ones there. Now that I have 10 ones, I can regroup, make that 9 into my tenths place, and now I can finally regroup here to make this 10. Now I can do 10 hundredths minus 5 hundredths, and I'm going to get 5. 9 minus 7 is 2, and 9 minus 7 is 2 in the ones place. The boys should receive $2.25 as their change. This is also a reasonable answer because our estimate was $2. In this part of the activity, we do have another word problem, and it's going to be multi-step. So you can answer this problem a couple of ways. Remember, one strategy is not the only right strategy. There's a couple different ways that you can get to the same answer. So if I do something differently than you would do, that's totally fine. This problem says, Malia earns $12.50 a week for helping her grandfather with yard work. She helps him for 4 weeks. She then purchases a new bag for $15.25. How much of her earnings does she have left? The first thing I'm noticing with this problem is that Malia is earning $12.50 a week for 4 weeks. So that's definitely step 1 that we need to address in solving this problem. Now you can solve this one of 2 ways. The first strategy that you may use is multiplication, and you would multiply $12.50 times 4 because this is the cost. Not the cost. This is the amount that she is earning for 1 week for helping her grandfather, and that's happening for 4 weeks. So if you're familiar with multiplying decimals, you could easily do $12.50 times 4. If you're not comfortable using multiplication of decimals, you can use repeated addition and add $12.50 4 times. Now, either strategy that you use will give you the same answer. And when you get that answer, you need to remember that you're still not done. Once you get that answer, whether it's the sum or the product, you're going to go back to the problem and think about what you need to do next. So as you can see, using both strategies, I got $50. So Malia earned $50 over that 4 weeks. But that's not the end of my problem. The question is actually asking me how much does she have left after she purchases a new bag for $15.25. So we're going to need to use another operation to actually answer this question. Looping back to our estimation strategy, we know that Malia earned $50 and she's going to spend about $15. So our answer reasonably should be around $35. If we subtract these two values and don't get somewhere close to 35, we know that we may have made a mistake somewhere and that our answer isn't reasonable or doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to put a reminder in the top, an estimation of $35. So similarly to the problem before, we're going to regroup And now that we've regrouped, we can actually subtract. So 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 2 is 7. Again, I forgot to bring down those decimals first, which I should have done. Now I can do 9 minus 5 is 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So what this number is telling us is the amount of money that Malia had after she spent $15.25 on her new bag. And this answer is totally reasonable. Our estimate was around $35, and we got $34.75. If a friend or family member asked you what you learned today, what would you say? Did you learn something new that you'd like to share with them? Do you feel like you had a review of something that you already learned and you could teach them it? Think about ways that you could share this information. Family tip. This week, ask your child to accurately estimate how much your grocery bill might be this week. Think about some items that you typically purchase and have them come up with an estimate. Then, when you return, have them look at the receipt and double check if they created a reasonable estimate.
Hi, my name is Erin San. I'm a teacher and a mindfulness coach. And what that means is I work with people just like you to help them use their senses to notice what's going on in their lives from moment to moment without any judgment, so they can stress less and smile a whole lot more. Today, I'm going to share with you an exercise that helps you when you're feeling a little frustrated. This is a self-compassion exercise. Self-compassion means giving yourself love, respect, and kindness, just like you would offer to a good friend of yours who maybe just fell down on the playground and scratched her knee, or your friend who's having a bad day. Self-compassion means taking care of ourselves through love. Are you ready? Good. So come into a comfortable seated position, remembering that sometimes we need to move our body a little bit before we're able to bring it to stillness and comfort. So once you arrive in your comfortable position, settle in, maybe close the eyes. Start to notice how the body feels. Notice where you feel that frustration in your body. Sometimes it makes our neck really stiff. Sometimes we feel our heart beating a little faster. Sometimes we feel sick in our belly or tight in our legs and our hips. So just take a moment to notice where you feel that frustration. And then start to take 5 deep breaths, sending that breath right to that part of the body that is feeling frustrated. Really deep breaths. What you're doing through the breath is sending a little love, a little kindness right to where the body needs it. And after that last breath, bring your hand right on top of your heart. And start to repeat these words either out loud or in your own mind. May I be happy and healthy. May I be free from harm. May I always be kind to myself. Maybe I'll feel a little more peaceful and know that I am loved. And I'll say those one more time. May I be happy and healthy. May I be free from harm. May I always be kind to myself. May I feel peaceful and know that I am loved. You're welcome to open your eyes and know that anytime you can say kind words to yourself and breathe kind energy into your body and place your hand over your heart, it's going to help you feel a whole lot better. Thank you so much for practicing with us today. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Second step lessons are created by Committee for Children, who owns and controls all rights therein. Permission was granted to district to make and broadcast this video for educational use only by district parents, families, teachers, and counselors with students currently learning via television broadcast due to the impact of COVID-19. No other use of this video or second step lessons is permitted. Committee for Children, 2020. Hi everyone, nice to see you again. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to start with a challenge. Watch this demonstration and then try to do the action yourself.
Okay, here's how we do it. Hold both hands up in a fist like this. Then extend your left thumb and your right pinky finger and put them back. Then extend your right thumb and your left pinky finger. Then switch them back and again. See if you can do it. Now try it fast.
Oh man, are you feeling frustrated yet? I know I am. Luckily, that was the point of that activity. Feeling frustrated, because that's what we're going to talk about today. And when you're trying to master something new that's particularly challenging or difficult, it can be really frustrating. What are some signs your body sends you when you're feeling really frustrated? For me, my head might start to hurt, my muscles might tense up, I might even start to feel hot in my face. Frustration is another strong feeling that you can manage using the calming down steps. As you watch this next video, look for what happens to this student as his frustration overwhelms him.
I didn't have a very good day at school today. We had this really hard math assignment. I just couldn't get it. I even asked some questions when the teacher was explaining it, but it still didn't make any sense. The worst part is that everyone else totally got it. I felt so stupid. My stomach got all tight and my head hurt. I was completely frustrated. I guess it showed because my friend Sierra leaned over and asked if I needed some help. I was so angry with myself and frustrated and even a little embarrassed that all I could do was tell her to shut up. I wish I hadn't done that. When I saw the hurt look on Sierra's face, I knew I'd messed up. Whoa, I thought. I'm really frustrated and it's getting the better of me. I knew I needed to get back in control.
So what is Antonio feeling? Frustrated, possibly mad and embarrassed as well. What are some of the physical signs Antonio is experiencing? He said his stomach was in knots and he was touching his head. His head hurt. Why is he so frustrated? He couldn't do the math. Has that ever happened to you? Definitely happened to me. But what is making the frustration worse? There's some negative self-talk that Antonio's got going on. He's sitting there thinking, everyone else can do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm the only person that's having a hard time. And that is making him feel worse. So because he couldn't get his frustration under control, he ended up doing something he's probably going to regret later. Do you remember what he did? Yeah, he was pretty rude to his friend Sierra, who was just trying to help. So let's take a look and see what Antonio does to try and handle his frustration.
So I started to count backwards from 100. About the time I got to 80, I started to feel better. By 60, I was feeling more like myself. I took a couple of slow, deep breaths and leaned over and apologized to Sierra. Hey, Sierra, I'm really sorry I was rude just now. I was really feeling frustrated. Actually, I really could use some help with this assignment.
So, Antonio knew when he saw the look on his friend Sierra's face that he'd messed up. He let his frustration get the best of him. But he used the calming down steps. And first he named his feeling. Then he chose to count backwards from 100 until he felt more calm. He took a few slow, deep breaths, and then he was able to apologize to his friend. It's totally common to feel frustrated when you're trying to learn something new, doing something difficult, or even dealing with another person that's really challenging. Remember, being calm in those situations is going to help you think more clearly, and you probably won't do something you regret if you're feeling more calm. Remember, when you're feeling frustrated when you're learning something new, that's okay, but use the calming down steps to make sure you don't give up. And I'll see you next week.
Hola, queridos matemáticos, estamos aquí con otro video. Yo soy la señorita Lua y soy maestra de las escuelas públicas de Arlington, Virginia. Estoy súper contenta de estar aquí con ustedes el día de hoy, con otro video matemático. Yo sé que ya están listos, preparados para aprender. El día de hoy será una lección fenomenal, fabulosa, les va a encantar. Así que pongan mucha atención. Preparen y abran su mente y nos vemos en la lección. Antes de empezar, necesitarás un papel y un lápiz, o una pizarra y un rotulador. Comenzaremos con una rutina numérica, que nos ayudará a pensar sobre los números de manera diferente. Nos ayudará a hacer conexiones entre los números. ¿Están listos? Oh, eso parece. Pues a comenzar. Aquí tenemos dos números. Ambos tienen 4 dígitos. ¿Qué observas? Piensa. Son los mismos números, pero ¿tendrán el mismo valor? ¿Qué tienen de similar o diferente? ¿Qué significan esos símbolos que tienen? Imagina que tu tía te iba a dar una cantidad de dinero dependiendo de la cifra que tú escojas. ¿Cuál de esos dos números elegirías?
Toma unos segundos para reflexionar. ¿Qué elegirías? Bueno, primero vamos a examinar los números más a fondo. Yo observo dos símbolos diferentes. El primero se llama una coma y el segundo es un punto decimal. Ahora vamos a ver qué más encontraste. Bueno, vi que ambos tienen 3 dígitos detrás del punto y detrás de la coma. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Vamos a ver cómo se leen los dos números. El primero se lee así, 2537. El segundo se lee así, 2 y 537 milésimas. Se leen un poco diferentes. Vemos que aquí, cuando vamos a decir el punto decimal, ponemos la letra I. Bueno, ahora vamos a contestar la pregunta. Si mi tía me fuera a dar dinero, ¿cuál de las dos cifras me gustaría? Pues vamos a ver y vamos a convertirlo en dinero. En dinero serían $2,000 con 537. Y el otro sería $2. Y si redondeamos 53 a 54, serían 54 centavos. ¿Cuál te gustaría? Pues yo lo tengo claro. Yo me iría con 2,537. Ahora vamos a la lección sobre valor posicional. Nuestro objetivo de hoy es que podrás recordar y comparar el valor posicional de 3 valores a la izquierda y a la derecha del punto decimal. ¿Están listos? Pues vamos allá. Vocabulario. Como podemos observar, tenemos 2 tablas diferentes. Aquí tenemos vocabulario en español y de este lado tenemos vocabulario en inglés. Bueno, comencemos con el vocabulario en español. Comencemos desde el punto decimal, este gran círculo que ves aquí. El punto decimal separa o divide los números enteros a la izquierda con los números decimales que se encuentran a la derecha. Hoy solamente repasaremos 3 espacios a la izquierda y 3 espacios a la derecha. Vamos a recordar cómo se llaman. El primero es el de las unidades. Repite, por favor, unidades. El segundo es el de las decenas. Repite, decenas. Y el tercero es el de las centenas. ¿Cómo? Centenas. Del otro lado opuesto, tenemos algo muy similar. Bueno, no tenemos unidades, pero nos vamos a lo que se llaman las décimas. Repite, décimas. Después, las centésimas, centésimas y las milésimas. Sí, las milésimas. Ahora, repite conmigo en inglés. Vamos a comenzar con los números enteros. El primer dígito es ones, el segundo dígito es tens y el tercer dígito es hundreds. Del lado derecho o del lado decimal tenemos lo que se llama tenths, hundreds y thousands. Toma un segundo. ¿Cómo se escriben las palabras? ¿Son similares? Bueno, en español vemos aquí que tenemos decenas y aquí tenemos décimas. Tenemos centenas y aquí tenemos centésimas. Nos faltan las milésimas, pero del otro lado invisible tenemos los millares. Ahora en inglés, vamos a ver. ¿Tenemos ones? No, pero ten y tenths se parecen mucho. La diferencia es que la terminación cambia en THS. Ahora tenemos hundreds y hundred. Se parecen muchísimo. Toma eso en cuenta cuando estés aprendiendo a decir los nombres de cada dígito o de cada valor posicional. ¿Estamos listos para practicar? Pues ahora vamos a ver qué valor le vamos a dar a cada una de esas palabras y a cada uno de esos valores posicionales. Tenemos aquí la tabla de nuevo. Vamos a pensar, si fuera dinero, ¿qué valor posicional le daríamos? Pues bueno, comencemos con $10. ¿Dónde pondrías tú los $10? Bueno, yo lo pondría aquí, en las decenas, porque el valor de las decenas es de 10 en 10 en 10 en 10. Continuamos. Tenemos ahí un centavo. Centavo. Ya sé. ¿Será que va con las centenas? Sí, el centavo representa 100 pennies que completan $1, una unidad. Así que la ponemos en las centésimas, porque es una parte muy pequeñita. Continuamos. Tenemos 10 centavos, décimas. Epa, ahí va, en las décimas. Así que vamos a continuar con $100. $100, ¿dónde lo pondría? Ya lo encuentro, en las centenas. Ahí está, porque la centena recuerda que representa de 100 en 100 en 100. Después tenemos $1. Estas son nuestras, es lo más fácil. ¿Cómo es? Las unidades. Entonces, las unidades representan cualquier dígito del 0, o del 1 al 9. Y finalmente tenemos el que es nuevo para ti. Una décima parte de un penny, ¿lo ves? Está aquí abajo escondido. Esta décima parte de un penny es la milésima. Si tú tomas un penny y lo cortas en 10 partes, pues ahí vamos a estar. Y luego continuamos. Para que lo puedas entender, la milésima es ese cuadradito pequeñito que está aquí, que lo tomamos de 1000 partes pequeñitas. Esa es la milésima. ¿Cómo se leen estos números? Pues veamos. Tenemos este número que tiene 4 dígitos. Veamos. Tenemos 5 centenas, 3 decenas, 4 unidades y 5 décimas. No nos olvidemos del punto decimal, que está entre el 4 y el 5. Pero, ¿de qué otra manera lo podemos leer? Pues leámoslo así. 534 enteros, porque esta parte son enteros, y la parte después del decimal, todo lo que está a la derecha del decimal, es una parte fraccional. Entonces tenemos 5 décimas. Ahora, quiero que lo hagas tú. Toma un segundito y piensa, ¿cómo se lee este número? Comencemos. Bueno, vemos que hay una decena, un punto decimal, una décima y una centésima. Lo podemos leer como un entero y 11 centésimas. El siguiente número, tenemos 2 centenas, 7 decenas, 0 décimas, 0 centésimas, pero sí tenemos milésimas, así que no nos podemos olvidar. Como tenemos el valor de las milésimas, el número se va a leer así: 27 enteros y 5 milésimas. Ahora vamos a redondear los números que tengan el 8 en el valor posicional de las décimas. Recuerda, es el valor posicional justo después del decimal, al lado derecho. Entonces, vamos a comenzar con el primer número. 457 enteros y 68 centésimas. El 8 está en el valor de las centésimas, así que no funciona. Aquí tenemos el 1, un entero y 8 décimas, ¿sí? Este sí funciona. Aquí tenemos 8 enteros, no funciona. Continuamos con 35 enteros y 8 décimas, sí funciona. Y al final tenemos 388 enteros y una décima. No funciona. Bueno, ahora quiero que tú te pongas a crear tu propio número. Crea un número de varios dígitos, pero el número 3 tiene que estar en el valor posicional de las unidades. Te doy unos segundos. Comienza ya. Bueno, tu número tiene que parecer así. Claro, el 3 tiene que estar justo al lado del decimal, al lado izquierdo. Muy bien. Muy bien, ahora es tu turno. Vamos a reflexionar. ¿Qué pasaría si cambiaras uno de esos dígitos? ¿Aumentaría el número? O sea, ¿el número se convertiría en más grande? ¿O va a disminuir? O sea, ¿se va a hacer más pequeño? Pues vamos a ver un ejemplo. Tenemos aquí este número, 35 enteros y 86 centésimas. Vamos a cambiar el número 8 por el número 7, así que se va a convertir en 35 enteros y 76 centésimas. Piensa, ¿el valor ha disminuido o aumentado? Pues se ha hecho más pequeño y ha disminuido por una décima o 10 centésimas. Quiero que hagas lo mismo con los siguientes números. Vamos a pensar. Cambia el número 2 de un entero y 2 centésimas a 6. ¿Disminuye o aumenta? Pues creo que va a aumentar. Y va a aumentar por 4 centésimas. Muy bien. Vamos a ver el segundo ejemplo. Cambia el número 3 de 3.460 a 9. ¿Disminuye o aumenta? Pues yo creo que aumenta y aumenta por 6.000. Perfecto, lo hemos logrado. Ahora, familias, gracias por apoyar el aprendizaje de matemáticas de sus estudiantes. A continuación verán una actividad que pueden hacer en casa para seguir practicando. Bueno, una de las actividades más importantes es tener en cuenta el valor posicional de los números. Eso puede ser el valor posicional de los números enteros y ahora entrando a cuarto y quinto grado de los números decimales. Así que, si tienen un recipiente de vitaminas y algunos dados, pueden ponerlo en estas cajitas y moverlos un poquito, abrir la cajita y ver qué números aparecen y leerlos. Aprender a leer los números es muy importante. Bueno, si tienen otra cajita, pueden hacer un juego y comparar los números para ver quién tiene el número más grande. Otra cosa que puedes hacer es poner los números en unos recipientes o en unos vasitos y crear diferentes números con la cantidad que ustedes quieran de dígitos y de números. Ahora, no se les olvide poner al final decir si es una décima o una centésima o un millar, así que eso también es muy importante. Otra actividad que pueden hacer es que con las tarjetitas de números, o en este caso el juego de 1, pueden crear diferentes números poniéndolos primero boca abajo y cambiándolos boca arriba, y de esa manera pueden competir para ver quién crea un número más grande. Ahora, esto lo pueden hacer como si fueran números decimales, que es donde los estudiantes tienen un poco más de dificultad. Imagínense que el punto decimal está al principio del número, o sea, aquí por el 6 y aquí por el 5. Bueno, espero que hayan disfrutado de estos videos. Muchas gracias.